Perfect. I think we're good. Again, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. The purpose of the webinar today is to present to you a project, digital learning, immersive learning project that we've done for easyJet, that we've worked on in collaboration with easyJet. The thematic is from employee experience to customer experience, the keys to success through immersive learning. I'm Julien KOKKINOS. I'm Chief Marketing Officer at Cirrus Factory, and I'm happy to be joined today by Mehdi. Mehdi, I'll let you present yourself.
Hi, I'm Mehdi GANA, the Senior Proposition Manager for easyJet, and I was active as the Training and Quality Manager for easyJet at the time of the partnership with Cirrus Factory.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mehdi, for being with us today. Excited to talk about this project. Before we dive into the project, so I'm sure everyone knows easyJet, obviously, but maybe give us some context on the company, where it is today. You've been innovating for a long time now. What's the status for 2022?
Yeah, I think, I would hope at the very least that most people will know us. We are one of the leading airline,
Yeah.
In Europe, short-haul airline focusing mainly on leisure business travelers. Our kind of DNA, as we might say, has always been to be innovative, to be what we call disruptors of the travel industry. So I mean, it started, as you said, 34 years ago with Stelios launching something that was never done before with the low-cost airlines, and we have tried to keep that going with being what we call a digital airline. So we are trying as much as possible to create a digital experience for our customers, and we've been very lucky to be recognized for our app website through travel industry and all industries. So yeah, when we talk about VR, when we talk about e-learning, it's definitely something that easyJet is quite passionate about because it is in line with our DNA.
Yeah, absolutely. So most of us probably know us as well. So most of you are already customers, but Cirrus Factory, we've been here for a while as well. We started in 2007. We were a French-based company working internationally. We've launched Virtual Training Suite in 2015 and counting both products, VTS Editor and VTS Perform. So yeah, basically we specialize in immersive learning, serious gaming, and everything that's related to learner engagement. Before we start talking about the project, maybe some key figures that seemed important to us to illustrate where immersive learning is at right now, what are the current growing trends as well. So 23 million of professions will use VR by 2030. The source is PwC, which means that more and more types of industries and job profiles will be able to use this type of immersive technologies in their day-to-day work and to be trained as well, obviously. Plus 57 increase in L&D budgets, which is extremely exciting because you can never train too much in your company. We know that it's extremely crucial to train people for them to be able to thrive in their environment, and the budgets will rise in the years to come. And $2.5 million are invested by the United States to train in soft skills. We see the importance of soft skills training because it is the most complementary thing that you can teach alongside hard skill, obviously. So yeah, this is also a very important metric that we're going to talk about today through the easyJet project. And talking about easyJet, one thing that we've talked about, Mehdi, when we started discussing the project was that the context for easyJet was favorable. Basically, you had very good KPIs. And the question you've asked yourself was, how do we go further? Maybe you can say some words regarding that aspect of the genesis of the project.
Yeah, I think as you already explained, the big point is that we didn't really want Surface Factory to fix a problem. And I think that, in any business, there is that, very reactive approach to things. We have a problem, we need to find a solution, but that usually means that you stand still rather than progress. What we've tried to do is really look past, the KPIs that you've shown, on the slide, which are basically very experienced agents who are, well aware of the policy we have in place, who are delivering, strong performance. But how could we make them better? We then did a study basically of our, areas of weakness, and one area we really, identified was dealing with complaints relating to airport experience. And well, we went very, granular in our approach, where we simply, reviewed verbatims, listened to calls, and tried to understand. Despite, as you've said, very strong KPIs, there was a specific area that was identified as not performing as well. And we identified basically that we had a cultural challenge. Our centers being, all around the world, sometimes in what some people would call third world or, second world countries, and that our agents didn't have, the relevant, airport experience to relate, to connect with the customer and give, their usual high level of performance. And, regardless of our strength in the training, we needed to find a solution. And that's where Surface Factory came, into the picture.
Perfect. We're happy to have been there. So yeah, let's dive in. Basically, the project purpose was to innovate in terms of learner experience and basically deploy the different touch points that the customer will encounter once is in the airport and interacting with easyJet and easyJet's teams. So what can you tell us, Mehdi, about the learner's end-to-end journey? What's happening to him once he connects to this project, which is again an immersive learning project that was done in VR? What's his journey basically?
Yeah, I think, just before I dive into the journey, I think the main kind of, starting point to kind of, to flag to everyone is what we were trying to achieve and why we decided to go towards, a VR approach rather than, a standard, classroom training or one by one or, airport visit, etc. I think, the best way I can explain it is, if I asked you to, to imagine a new color, regardless of, how, well-trained, smart, competent you are, you might not be able, to do so and to, imagine a new color because it's simply something that you have never seen before. Your brain cannot relate in many ways. VR became very important, in this particular, stage because when we were essentially asking our agents to relate, to imagine something that they've never seen, in their life. They've never been to an airport, they never had a chance to fly due to their, sociological, conditions. And as such, we had to find a way to, take the airport to them in many ways. So they had that, what you call that little light bulb moment, and they go, oh yeah, now I get it, now it makes sense to me, now I understand why customers are upset, So to do so, we basically decided that we would give, a full immersive experience, of the customers, end-to-end airport journey. So all of you, thanks to, our own economical and sociological conditions, I assume, have flown before, for business, for leisure. Well, essentially, we wanted the agent to be able to, be in your shoes and to know what it means to arrive at an airport, look for the, check-in desk, go through the check-in desk, open your app, look at the different information on the boarding pass, go through security, go in the different shops and, board an airplane and land, find your bag, etc. What VR gave us that we wouldn't be able to achieve in any other way, because some of you might think, but why not do a video, or why not, simply have a couple of pictures or something like that, is VR, well, gives you, not only visual stimuli, but it allowed us to basically put, audio stimuli, visual stimuli, put them in a situation where you are also, enclosed into, a world. You can move around, turn around, look at the scale of what an airport terminal is, the level of visual stimuli that you have and that you have to comprehend. When you put them in that situation, they're in a classroom, they are also unable to see and feel what's happening around them, so they're already in a stressful situation. It really recreates that situation that, a lot of people have going to the airport, which is, oh, I'm gonna miss my flight. I feel very stressed, I'm very anxious, and I make mistake, and then I might call an agent and be very, aggressive or very, stressed and, not the nicest person. When the agent is able to see that and say, oh, that there is a lot of noise around me, there is a lot of visual stimuli, it creates, that relation. And then when you pick up the call and someone is, stressed or angry, you can relate and say, you know what, I get it. I'm gonna try to calm them down. And only VR gives you that. No other, learning tools give you that ability. Also, it allowed us to kind of, give several, AR integration, as part of the experience with, a boarding pass popping up, elements of gaming as well, that were added to the experience with different questions at different touch points, for the agent to answer, and it really made, a whole package from a pure, learning experience that, again, you wouldn't be able to replicate in any other way. You could do a slide, you could do, a questionnaire at the end of the slide, but it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be as all-encompassing.
No, absolutely. I think to develop empathy through digital training, immersive learning and VR are absolutely great tools to be able to convey that. To jump on one of your arguments, so one of the key pedagogical mechanics of the project is the role reversal. Basically, the learner is inside the skin of a traveler. What can you tell our audience regarding that particular mechanic? Why was it important to choose this type of gamification mechanic in order to really convey the message and make sure that people remember as much as they can from the learning experience?
Yeah, happy to reinforce the point I made. Essentially, the only way you can fully comprehend someone's, challenges, as you said, to be in there, walk a mile in their shoes, as they say, So this platform really, gives that, that experience. But as you said yourself, there is also, pure teaching elements, that are, that come into play with, you have the ability to reinforce specific touch points. You have the, ability to embed learning and embed, critical points through specific, questioning and validation of the understanding, during the experience. What I mean by that is, a very vital point, that agents are not really allowed to fail on, is what we, classify as dangerous goods. So that question that, you get at the airport every time, do you have a gun on you, you have a bomb, do you have, anything like that, and you always, laugh and think, oh yeah, like, what a silly question, I wouldn't tell you. But there is, more specifics like chemicals, etc., that are quite complex, and we need to make sure the agents are never giving, inaccurate, information to the customer. Through that, experience, that role reversal, we were able to basically put the agent, sorry, in the place of the customer at security, ask the question, and then validate through a questionnaire. Okay, what is the correct list? What is what you can actually bring on board the aircraft, and then you validate really that the agent has that knowledge and has really understood, which then gets fed to the trainer, in terms of results, and they are able to reinforce that point if they see a high failure rate. So it's a really it's a very end-to-end. I think it's the best, the best way to qualify it. It's an end-to-end experience. You put your headset on, but it actually takes 20 boxes at once, which again you can't do with anything else.
Absolutely. So we were honored to be chosen by easyJet and you and your teams to take on this project. Why did you choose us? I know you talked to many of our colleagues in the ecosystem. What made you choose Cirrus Factory to take on this project?
I mean, as we discussed before, I'm quite a an honest, direct person. Obviously, as the slide, calls out, you had, great expertise in what you did, but I would argue back that hundreds of companies have great expertise in that field, because
Absolutely.
This is the world we live in. It's like us, flying planes. Well, there is hundreds of companies flying plane, and how do you become unique? How do you become great? And I think what really made a difference with Cirrus Factory is they knew better than us, what would work, but at no step of the way did they make us feel like our input wasn't, vital, that our input wasn't valuable, and they took our input on board and they made it better. You know what I mean? So like you can dream of the best house, but only if you have the best architect can you actually deliver it. And it's kind of what we had with you guys. We had people who are willing to listen, who are willing to kind of drive us very smoothly towards the best solution. And then from start to finish, where one basic thing, we are nice people, we are friendly people who were always quick to reply to us, quick to make changes, quick to explain to us why things would not work sometimes. And it just creates a real experience where everyone feels involved. And I think that's one big thing that I really, really liked about about the experience, is from myself to my boss to the most junior member of my team, there was at no point a feeling that one input was better than another. And I think you really took the time to explain to our teams how to use things, how to do things. You even trained them in some elements of the design, so that they could go away and create their own material later on, which you didn't have to do it. But well, bottom line is that's why I'm here tonight, and supporting you, because you've earned it, and not all business have that that value on top of their expertise.
Thank you so much, Mehdi, for those kind words. To expand a bit on that, Mehdi and I thought it was important to be able to expand a bit on those aspects of what makes a project mode at Cirrus Factory. And we basically, our value proposition is based on what we call 3 customer experience pillars. The first one would be a dynamic, proactive, and customer-centric approach to co-design, because nowadays when you create a tailor-made project in digital learning, it's important to be able to work together in synergy and with agility. Mehdi, you told me about, you gave me some anecdotes on how you were able to work with our digital learning team and our project managers. Maybe you can share one anecdote of how the co-design work actually was made, and maybe the time where our teams came to the airport in Lyon would be a good anecdote to let people see how it is we work basically with our clients.
Yeah, I think there is two main points, and I think I'm gonna cover a few of the pillars. Sorry to jump the gun, in many ways, but I think both are closely related. The first one, in terms of that customer-centric approach, and to co-design rather than design, and you prove it by, actually using the right word in the slide, is the fact that, as I said, our trainers, were incredibly, excited by the project. And, you came to Berlin to demonstrate, the tool before we had any sort of, agreement, between our businesses. But on top of that, they were so bought into the product that I remember them sharing a very complex, experience map where they literally wrote every single touch point that they wanted to cover with each of the text, etc., and they send that to to your designer. And rather than saying, well, sorry guys, that's my job, and I know how to do it a bit faster than this, and I don't really have the time to go through your incredibly complex decision tree. He went through it, added comments, explained what would work, what wouldn't work, and it was just a lovely thing to see, because again, well, what he I believe, because he was a very smart individual, but what he might not even realize he was doing is, when those trainers deliver the product, they are so bought into it, they love it so much that they will really give an amazing experience to the learner. The second anecdote, sorry, to go with two, but the second anecdote was the experiences instead from the day, and I think you will talk a little bit later on your flexibility, those abilities. What I think was really impressive, is challenges arise through any project that I've been on. I don't think I've had any project where everything went perfectly well, because life would be too easy. And I think I used a small anecdote where on the day of the experience, basically you had one of the person who was going to capture basically the visuals at the airport and operate the camera. Your choice number one, unfortunately, was sick on the day, and you had to find a replacement. Unfortunately, that meant that we didn't have any security pass for that individual, because security at the airport was very tight, and you didn't want to not turn up or call us at 7 in the morning and say, well, sorry, we're gonna have to postpone, and put me in a situation where I'm with 2-3 people who are waiting for you, and have to tell them, well, very sorry guys, we have to postpone. So you came, I remember the individual came straight from Paris to Lyon by train early morning, and we were very clear on, this is what we could do, is there anything we can do to kind of make it work. And I think the fact that the airport manager saw that that effort that you've had, that proactivity of making sure that things happen on the day, and that you are really trying your best to call people to find how to kind of get all the necessary paperwork done within an hour. That kind of created a dynamic where everyone wants to go the extra mile. And I remember the airport manager going straight to the colonel in charge of the gendarmerie at the airport, and just kind of saying to him, like, I'm really sorry, but I need some help here. And the individual was, oh yeah, it's quite difficult. And he was like, aren't you going on holiday soon? It's like, yeah, I am. It's like, okay, I've got some staff ticket, so let me know, what I can do for you. And with that kind of, like street smart, as they call it, and proactivity, the person just, the colonel just took the paperwork, signed it, and said, what, like, here you go, just do your work, and we're not gonna bother you. And yeah, like, it was just just a nice experience that showed that friendly element, but also that proactivity, that dynamic of everyone wants to help when they see a partner that wants to do the right thing and that wants to try hard to solve issues, rather than just one phone call in the morning, tell me we've got someone sick, please postpone, and then I'm the one who's in trouble. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's extremely important for us. I think it's important for any project at this scale. Basically, it's a great segue to our second pillar, which is our mindset, agility in the classical sense of the term. We try to be as agile as we can, and basically the culture that we've created at Serious Factory, as you know, Mehdi, is based around principles in regards to agility. So, it's very important for us to develop a culture where agility is possible. For it to be possible, it needs to be customer focused, and it drives everything that we do, every development on our products that we make, our projects, even the way we do marketing and sales. A customer focus is extremely important. It seems obvious as a customer to read that, but it's a real philosophy for everything we do at Cirrus Factory. We work as a team. We have many different teams inside of the company: UI and UX design, marketing, developers, product people, and so on and so forth. And being able to work in synergy in order to deliver these types of projects is extremely important. And we achieve that through common goals. Every time we developed a project, a product, any initiative whatsoever, we align on common goals, and we know where we want to go and what would be the best possible result that we can achieve for our customers. Our decisions are made collectively. All the departments work hand in hand and basically make decisions that are doable and the most relevant for everyone. We do that with a positive attitude. So, like any company, we're human beings. So there are challenges sometimes, but basically maintaining this positive attitude and knowing that what we do is important because we're dealing with learning and development, focuses us on the mission. We accept mistakes. Like you said, Mehdi, there's always something that can go wrong in a project. Perfection isn't something that we can achieve. So being able to accept that something wasn't as perfect as it could have been in a singular moment in time is okay. And how we bounce off from that is the most important thing. And we learn continuously as well. We are experts in our field, but again, like you said, Mehdi, many other companies are, and that's just the truth. But so to be able to be competitive and being able to always offer excellence in quality, we need to be continuously learning. Our team are autonomous. We favorize basically for every team to be able to bring all their expertise to the table. So yeah, basically this is the culture at Cirrus Factory, and this was the culture for the project that we're talking about right now. And to end the part of basically how we make those projects for our customers, the third pillar is the deployment aspect, which is extremely important because we, collectively tend to focus on the project in the making, but following through, after the project is done, and actually thinking about how it is deployed and how it gets to the ends of the learners is something that we don't take for granted and that we work actively on. Mehdi, maybe you want to jump in this part. I know there was as well an anecdote in terms of the deployment aspect that's probably worth mentioning a bit.
Yeah, probably not the one I want to be in the spotlight for, but it's one that was a mistake made by myself, being very very blunt and honest here. Essentially, when when we try to deploy the experience, our original agreement with Cirrus Factory was essentially to use the software of Cirrus Factory to upload the experience on our own hardware. The challenge we had, however, was that due to PCI compliance challenges and security on site, we were essentially unable to install the software in a manner that would be accessible as part of the cloud used by our teams. So because of the way offices are set up, we don't have dedicated, and I'm sure that many of you work in that manner, have dedicated desktops for each of our trainer, etc. And the issue we had was that essentially we were in a position where we would need to install the software on every single, profiles, which unfortunately, due to very stringent, security, rules for contact centers, was seen as too high a risk by our security team. I had to go back to Satisfactory and say, well, guys, I'm very sorry, my mistake here. We need to find a backup solution, straight away. Satisfactory didn't say, well, thank you very much for paying for the software, good luck with your problem, we wish you all the best. It was great working with you. They actually, worked with me in order to find a solution. And when we say, went above and beyond, I think, it doesn't even, start to cover it, because what you did is, you essentially sourced, all the headset for us, installed the software on, those hardware, and then delivered them to 9, sites across, across the world, so that the agents, are able to experience, that great piece of tool. And on top of that, you added, elements of, support, and continuous support of the software and hardware, as part of the contract, which is not something that was again discussed at any point, or is really something that you would normally do in a standard situation. So yeah, that kind of, well, first of all, allowed this to be experienced and enjoyed by well, now over thousands and thousands of agents. And probably allowed me to avoid a very uncomfortable discussion with my boss. And I had to tell him we spend the money, but nobody is ever gonna see it aside from me and my laptop.
Like we said, we accept mistakes and errors, and it's fine. And we're happy to be here, and we will in the future as well. Thank you so much, Mehdi, for these anecdotes and being able to share your experience with us and around this project. So we deployed the project. It got in the end of your learners. What can you tell us about the few KPIs that we're showing on the screen here, and maybe some other points that you want to put forward? How was the reception of the project? How did it go?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, we said 6,000, I think that number was last month. It grows every day. So it's kind of, the great thing of thinking, contact center are growing at such a rate that, we've got new people using that tool, on a daily basis. It, has two benefits. The first benefits that you've shown on your slide, first of all, an increase of 5 points post, launch for customer service, and 4% in what we call FCR, which is basically the ability of an agent to close a case on the first call, which was really like the core challenge we had, and that we discussed at the start, where people couldn't relate, couldn't really understand what they were being told. So they had to say, I'm very sorry, I'm going to look into this for you, hang up the call, and go and ask a team leader, go and ask someone else and say, sorry, I didn't really understand what the issue was that this customer had at the airport. Now, thanks to to the tool, they were able to actually increase that that completion by 4% across all contact types, which is huge for us, and is a huge amount of savings being made. But the second element that is also as important is the soft element of the deployment. We were across any of the sites we have where there is up to 10 different brands being supported. We were the first one to utilize and deliver VR training. So what we actually saw is bragging rights from our agents, and those bragging rights turned into demands from agents in other accounts saying, oh wow, like I saw easyJet train, like that looks really fun. They've got VR, they look very like a cool brand to work with, so can I transfer from X brand to easyJet, please? And when that happens, well, other HR department for the easyJet on that particular site, you get to pick the best agents from other accounts, and you get to build an even stronger team, which helps those those KPI we're discussing, but you can't really quantify that directly. So yeah, that was a very, very, strong, and positive response, and genuinely every single time, I went on site, the question was, what comes next? What is going to be the next experience? Can we do an experience on board? Can we do an experience, a visit of the head office, and, agents then come to you with ideas on how they can use VR to improve, their learning, and because they enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Amazing. So yeah, thank you so much for this restitution of your experience. Thank you, everyone, for having joined us today. If you have any questions for Mehdi or for me as a Cirrus Factory representative today, we'll be happy to answer every and any question that you may have. Feel free to ask them. Meanwhile, Mehdi, is there something you want to add to wrap up this webinar, or are we all good?
Go again off of mute works always better. Well, I think like my only advice to anyone who is part of the attendees or who watches that video is really don't stop out here, as I said at the start, solving problems. Don't think that because you are doing well you can do amazing, and because you are doing amazing you can do exceptional, and if you do exceptional then aim to do perfect. And I think new ideas, new tools, new technologies are a way to achieve that. If you have never done anything like VR, AR, gaming, e-learning, or any sort of more advanced training, and you think, well, but my classroom delivers different results, well, my answer to you will always be but you haven't looked at the full picture. And that's not me supporting Cirrus Factory, it's me talking to L&D professional and colleagues and giving them a piece of my my own experience and my own learning. The more you push, the more you try new things, like the more you learn, and that's what truly investing in your teams look like.
Perfect. Fully agree. Thank you so much again, Mehdi. Thank you, everyone. And as always, we remain at your full disposal, and we will send you a replay of this webinar in your inbox in the days to come. Have an amazing day, an amazing evening, and talk to you soon. Thank you again, Mehdi. Have a great evening.
Pleasure is mine. Take care.
Bye-bye. Take care.